राधा माधव कुंज विहारी श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा मुरलीधर राज जय राधा रमण राज जय राधा माधव राज जय राधा विनोद राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय वृंदावन धाम जय वृंदावन धाम जय वृंदावन धाम जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय पंचतत्वा पंचतत्वा जय पंचतत्वा जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव प्रपाद महाराज की जय। स्कॉन संस्थापक आचार्य श्रील प्रपाद महाराज की जय। कृष्ण का प्रमुख श्रील प्रपाद महाराज की जय। जगत गुरु श्री प्रपाद महाराज की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परम सुपरिचित अष्टोत्तर सदाशिव हिज जैन भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नमाचार्य श्री हरदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसती गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ राधा कृष्ण श्याम कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय। मायापुर नवदीप धाम की जगन्नाथपुरी द्वारका धाम की गंगे मैम रमाय की जय। तुलसी भक्ति देव की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसलेशन बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय। All glories to assemble ladies. All glories to assemble ladies. All glories to assemble ladies. All glories to all glories Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. So welcome to all devotees for today's Bhagavatam session. The Bhagavata Sevya. So we will be taking from the 4th canto, 14th chapter, text 12 to 16. Start with the prayers. Om Agnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदामह्यं ददाति सुपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च निरूपम साग्रजातम सगण रघुनाथान्वितम तम सजीवम साद्वैतम सावधूतम परिजना सहितम कृष्ण चैतन्य देव श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितां च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिकांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते सप्तकांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी कृपानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुष कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायण नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेष भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेव्यां भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी हरे कृष्ण yeah shloka number 12 on the 14th chapter तद्विद्वाद्भिर् असद्वृत्तो वेणो अस्माभिः कृतो नृपाः सान्त्वितो यदि नोवाचं न ग्रहीष्यति अधर्मकृत् लोकधिक्कार संदग्धं दहिष्यामः स्वतेजसा तद्विद्वाद्भिर् असद्वृत्तो वेणो अस्माभिः कृतो नृपः सन्त्वितो यदि नो वचं न ग्रहीष्यति अधर्मकृत् लोकधिक्कार संदग्धं दहिष्यामः स्वतेजसा तद्विद्वाद्भिर् असद्वृत्तो वेणो अस्माभिः कृतो नृपाः सान्त्वितो यदि नो वचं न ग्रहीष्यति अधर्मकृत् लोकाधिकार संदग्धं दहिष्यामः स्वतेजसा word by word meaning translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai word by word tat his mischievous nature vidvadbihi aware of asat vrittaha impious venaha vena asmabhihi by us kritaha was made nripaha king santvitaha in spite of being pacified yadi if na our vacham words na not grahishyati he will accept adharmakrit the most mischievous lokadikara by public condemnation sandagdam burned dahishyamaha we shall burn swatejasa by our prowess. Translation: the saintly sages continued thinking, of course we are completely aware of his mischievous nature, yet we nevertheless enthroned Vena. If we cannot persuade King Vena to accept our advice, he will be condemned by the public, and we will join them. Thus, by our prowess, we shall burn him into ashes. Hare Krishna. So, purport is there. So, devotees can read. Whoever is there in the queue.
Hare Krishna. Vasudha Mataji, you can read the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Purport Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Saintly persons are not interested in political matters, yet they are always thinking of the welfare of the people in general. Consequently, they sometimes have to come down to the political field and take steps to correct the misguided government or royalty. However, in Kali Yuga, saintly persons are not as powerful as they previously were. They used to be able to burn any sinful man to ashes by virtue of their spiritual powers. Now, saintly persons have no such power due to the influence of the age of Kali. Indeed, the Brahmanas do not even have the power to perform sacrifices in which animals are put into a fire to attain a new life. Under these circumstances, instead of actively taking part in politics, saintly persons should engage in chanting the Mahamantra Hare Krishna. By the grace of Lord Chaitanya, by simply chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the general populace can derive all benefits without political implications. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Avagnantimanasinaranjanashalaka Chakshrumitamana Tasmai Shri Guruvaya Namaha. So we are in this chapter where King Vena has ascended the throne because at that point of time when Anga, his father, was ruling, everything was good. Anga was a very good, great ruler, and then since and then they had no children, and then Vena was born after doing the sacrifice. We know the story how Vena was born, but Vena turned out to be a very bad, mischievous king due to his his own actually karma and his own by birth itself and by his cultivation itself. It was like that. It is basically it was his upbringing, not the upbringing. Although Sunita and Vena were very good parents, but King Vena turned out to be a most impious person. But then they didn't have a choice. And since Anga was also, we have seen in the last chapter that how Anga became so disturbed by his son's adharmic activities. So he wanted, and then anyway he wanted to get liberated. I mean, that was his mood, and as Vena grown up, he handed over the king, and then he went to the forest. He just want to, and he could not tolerate the activities of Vena. But then as a varnashrama system was there, he had to follow that. Okay, he did his duty as a kshatriya, and he was a grahastha. Then he had to take the vanaprastha, and then because that was his he wanted to achieve the goal of life. And then he also set a precedent in the amongst the royal family also, how one can be detached, how one actually can take to the spiritual practice. So although he was a king and a lot of duties, responsibility in a very mode of passion, tamasic, rajasic way, but still he had that quality of being a devotee. And then he transformed himself, all his desires to the spiritual desires, and then he showed an example how even a king having so much of opulence and so much of attachment can still be detached, and then he can do his penance, and then he can go back to Godhead. So like that, that was his one example, and that's how Anga was also became very famous. Even the entire population, the entire citizens were so upset. The priestly class were upset, Brahmanas were upset. Everybody were never wanted him to go to the forest by so much of being in the mode of renunciation. But still, he showed that as a quality because he knew what is the purpose of life. And so, like the shloka starts, the first shloka starts. The great sage Maitreya continued, "O great hero Vidura, the great sages headed by Bhrigu were always thinking of the welfare of the people in general. When they saw that in the absence of King Ganga, there was no one to protect the interests of the people, they understood that without a ruler, the people would become independent and non-regulated. So then they had to call Vena, and then although they knew that he's not going to be pious and he's not going to be dharmic, they knew that he was very cruel, but still they didn't have a choice. And then they throned him. But the moment he started, I mean, all the thieves and rogues, all these people also were became very much afraid of him. It says, and they hid like a rats from the snake. So like this, there was a lot of despondency. There was a lot of crime. So many things happening because he himself was not controlling. Yatha Raja, Tata Praja. So like that, it had become because king itself was not following all the dharmic principles, and it was very chaotic condition. And then he had so much of pride and so much of arrogance. All these were there. He was uncontrolled. So when it says the shloka, when he became overly blind due to his opulences, King Vena mounted a chariot and like an uncontrolled elephant began to travel through the kingdom, causing sky and earth tremble wherever he went. So he was completely in that mode of destruction, and then for his own people he was bringing bad fortune. So he was going in a rampaging mode, in so many atrocities he himself was doing, and generally and then consequently other thieves, rogues, and dacoits, even they had a field day, and they also took a lot of advantage of this, and then it was a very, very chaotic condition. People were actually suffering, and that is how this situation comes. And now the sages, the saintly people, are thinking what to do, how to overcome this, how to protect the kingdom, how to protect the citizens. So these questions came into mind, and they are contemplating themselves, and they're actually trying to find out, introspect what actually happened. Because also they were also had a question that he was born from the womb of Sunita, and how come he became very mischievous? Because Sunita and Vena both were very pious people, but how the offspring became so? I mean, we find this in the today's life also, that parents are pious, but children can go astray. And people and people who are so having rich people, or famous personalities, celebrities, or very highly educated, but their children may not be in the right mode. They would not have it. They would have gone astray, and they would have created so much of, or they would have entered into criminal activities. And then we find that there is a so much of dichotomy, opposite things happening. So, and then I think in the last chapter, Prabhupada also gives that explanation that this can happen. It's not that it cannot happen. And the character for the son comes from the mother side. So if the mother side, if somebody is impious, somebody was not well behaving, then that will carry on to the son. Similarly, the girl, if the girl is born, and for her the characteristics comes from the father's side. So if somebody in their ancestry, some such people were there, and there are some behaviors were like that, so those vasanas, those things will carry on, and then it can happen. And at the end of the day, again, it is a law of karma. What a person is today can change tomorrow. So what to speak of one birth? In the same birth, in this lifetime itself, a person can change, and he can take the opposite view, and he can who was a moral guy can become immoral guy can become moral. That is also possible. So like that, it can happen in just a few hours or a few minutes. What to speak of lifetimes? What to speak of their youth, or their from passage from childhood to youth to adult. So like that. So it is definitely possible. Why all this is possible? Because of the sangha. What the sanghas teshu jayate. So whatever sangha they keep, whatever association they keep, what is the environment in which they live, and what kind of friends. That's why in English also there is a proverb, right? You tell me your friends, I will tell you your character. So just that is enough. Just if you know what is the character of what is the with whom, which friends you are staying with, and with whom you are going around and then interacting, I can tell your character, because whatever the friends are doing, the same character this person also will imbibe. So like that, the sangha is very important. That's how also in spiritual life also the same thing applies, that if you are associating with the good people, sattvic people, and non-materialistic thinkers, and so people like that, then you will automatically get into mode of goodness, and you can practice bhakti very easily. But if you are again affected, attracted, or associating with materialistic people, despite doing bhakti, then it might become a big dampener. It will be very difficult, because you're how much ever you try to control your senses, it will go off, because you are interacting with them so much and talking about so much materialistic things. You will also be swayed, influenced by such relationship. So it is very important. And once we are, that's why even Rupa Goswami also has mentioned that sangatyaga, the asat sangha which is there, that should be renounced actually. The sat sangha should be done. The moment sat sangha is done with the devotees, with the books, with the temple, then automatically your devotional life will get smoothened. Otherwise you have to suffer. So like that. And then it says the mischievous king is exactly maintaining a snake with milk. Now he has become the source of all difficulties. So the snake, even if you give them the best of the milk, whatever it is, at the end of the day, what it is going to produce? is the poison only. So that is the essence of it. So so what association, what things it assimilates, that is what it comes out. So this way, even in Vienna, it happened. And now they are coming to this shloka. The saintly sages continued thinking, of course, we are completely aware of his mischievous nature, yet we nevertheless enthroned Vienna. If we cannot persuade King Vienna to accept our advice, he will be condemned by the public. So they're expecting that, the public rampage will happen, people will protest, and people will make some hue and cry. And that time we'll join. Then we shall burn them to ashes. So then that way we can get rid of Vienna. So like that, they're also contemplating, they're thinking that this can happen. So Prabhupada gives the very nice explanation here that saintly persons are not interested in political matters, yet they're always thinking of the welfare of the people in general. So this is the very fantastic statement Prabhupada has given, how saintly people, although they're not interested in political matters, who is ruling, what kind of administration, but see, the beauty is that they're thinking of welfare. So they want the citizens to come to the spiritual path. That's it, because they know the end result. The end result, how much ever you try, how much ever you struggle in this material world, in this in the Dukhalaya Shashvatam, you can never get happiness, because it's a place where you're already in a miserable place. How can you get happiness there? It's already a place which is full of crime, which is full of jealousy, hatred. So how can you get something which where you can purify yourself? It is not. It is like fish out of the water. So that is how the saintly people always, they're looking at bringing people to the spiritual path. Same thing happened to Purandara Dasa also. Purandara Dasa, as you know, in the Hampi, Krishnadevaraya's time, in the Vijayanagar Empire. So he was there. Actually, he was coming from a very saintly family. They were jewelers by profession, and father had made huge money. And as we know, in the Vijayanagar time, 1500 time, that time Hampi, the gold, the rubies, the diamonds, all these gems were sold on the street. So much of opulence they had. But unfortunately, all these were ransacked by so many invaders. All these things, we know the history. So that much opulence was there. So he was called as Navakoti Narayana. He had 9 crores wealth about 500 years back. 9 crores at that time. So you can imagine what is today's value. You cannot even put a zeros, how much zeros will be there of that 9 crores. So like that. And then, and it is also said that he was the incarnation of Narada Muni. Purandadasa, although he came in the public life in the material world, but his main role was to glorify the Lord. Glorify, because Narada Muni in the spiritual world is always glorifying. So now he took here birth, and then that prophecy had to happen. So he came and he was born in that, but he was a pakka kanjus, very miserly person. And every time at that time, in Krishnadevaraya's time, Vyasatirtha, in the Madhva saints, Vyasatirtha, one of the most prominent saints, was living at that time. He had an ashram there, and the Madhva ashram. And then he knew about Purandara's appearance and all that, because he's a great, they're all, Jnani, they can see what is the future. And he could see that, that this person is there, and we have to somehow revive him. So he was sending messages through his assistants to please go and tell this Sinapanayaka, this jeweler, to come and meet me, to meet the Vyasatirtha. And every time they were
tax bill without tax
without. So he was he was always whenever that guru people used to come, he refused them. He never, because he was thinking, and the assistants used to tell him, see, Vyastirtha has told that they want to give you something which is very, very phenomenal, very, very big fortune they want to give, like that. But in his mind, as a materialistic person, Purandara Sinapanayaka was telling, what the saint can give me? Already he is a Vairagi, already he is a renounced man. What wealth he has? But then the assistant was telling, no, no, you want to give you the biggest wealth. What was actually that biggest wealth? The bhakti wealth, or the Krishna bhakti, or the prowess to write the kirtans. The later on it became Purandarasa Kirtana, so much famous. He wrote some lakhs and lakhs of kirtanas. So that was the wealth he wanted to give, but he was rejecting. He's telling that he's a renunciate. What this sannyasi can give, and I'm very scared. If I come there, he asks me something to donate, and I say I will not give, and I commit an offense, so I don't want to come. So like that openly he used to tell, I don't want to come, I don't want to waste my time. And your guru also, tell your guru, don't waste his time. I am busy with my commercial aspects, my material thing, please leave me alone. But then fate had it that Lord himself, Lord Vitala himself, came in the form of Brahmana, and then he converted into Purandaradasa. So like this is the quality of saintly persons. They want to look at the welfare of the people. Welfare in the sense, the spiritual welfare. Convert their material body to spiritual body. So this was the intention. Consequently, they sometimes have to come down to the political field and take steps to correct the misguided government or royalty. However, in Kali Yuga, saintly persons are not as powerful as they previously were. They used to be able to burn any sinful man to ashes by virtue of their spiritual prowess. So Prabhupada also is telling that many saintly people have come and have come down to the political field just to correct the misguided government. Like so many we see in the history also that for example, King Prataparudra in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there in Orissa. So he was there. King Prataparudra was a great devotee of Jagannath. At the same time, he was a Kshatriya. And then there were some saintly people who came. For example, we also get into the history of Yamunacharya. Yamunacharya, that is, who is the guru of Ramanujacharya, was also in the same category. They are all in the saintly family. Yamunacharya was the son of Nathamuni. Nathamuni was one of the great saint in in that time, Vaishnava Parampara, and they lived in Tamil Nadu near Srirangam and all that places. And as we know, Ramanujacharya was born in the Sripadamdur and then in the there. And since he was born from very pious family, Ramanujacharya was identified by Yamunacharya that Ramanujacharya will be the next my disciple. He's going to take over, and then he's going to start the Sri Vaishnava practice. So that he had a guru had already knew about that. And in this Yamunacharya case, he was at the age of 12, he had mastered the Vedas. Because grandson of a great saint, Nathamuni, he had mastered Vedas. He was very good, and all the Mimamsa, logic, everything he had learned. And that point of time, there was one in the Pandya kings were ruling. I think Pandyas were mostly on the Shaivite. They were promoting Shaivas, and they were all mostly Shiva devotees. At the same time, the Vaishnava also was there. The temples Vaishnava practice also was there, but in a very very subdued manner. So in his Pandya kingdom, there was one Digvijaya Kolahala. One Pandit was there. Pandit, he was Kolahala means one who can create some flutters, who can create some eruptions or an earthquake like that. That means he had so much knowledge, and he was so good in that in his arguing capacity. So he was considered Digvijay Pandit. So nobody used to challenge. At that point of time, Yamunacharya also was there. And then, so he took the challenge because, and then were to face in an argument with that Kolahala, if they're not ready to come in the challenge, they have to pay a duty, the levy, taxes they had to pay. So like that, he was collecting money, and then he was creating such a big ruckus. So that came to the mind of Yamunacharya, and then as a boy, he took that challenge. He went to the king and the royal court, and then he said that I'm going to challenge this man. So like that, and everyone was surprised. But the king and the queen had a very soft corner for Yamunacharya, and they thought that because just by looking at his so effulgent face and effulgent his talk and his his character and his personality, they knew that this boy is something very extraordinary and he's having very divine qualities, and they took that no problem. Okay, now that you are coming, we also want to test this Kolahala, this Pandit. He's also making so much of noise. He's as if he's running a parallel government, income tax government, collecting taxes. So they also probably wanted to keep him in abeyance. And then they said that, okay, if you boy as Yamunacharya, if you win this, you will get half of our kingdom. So like that, they put a bet, and then the argument started. So, and in this argument, initially he asked a few questions to Yamunacharya. Yamunacharya could answer most of those questions, and then it was turn of Yamunacharya to ask the question to this Vidvaja Kolahala. So, and he just asked 3 questions. What are the 3 questions? That he said that you have to refute whatever I say. I say that your mother is barren. That means your mother cannot produce a child. That you have to refute. You have to refuse that. That is the argument that you have to give. So then the second one was the king is pious. That means you have to refute, means you have to say that king is impious. You have to prove that king is impious. And the third one is still more severe. The queen is chaste. So that means if queen is chaste, means if he has to refute, he has to argue and say that no, the queen is not chaste. Is not chaste. She is not of good character, like that. How can he talk? The Vidvaj Kolahala was completely bewildered, confused how to argue these things. And then, so what does it mean that your mother is not barren? Means that you cannot produce child. But then that Kolahala, the Pandit, was the only son of that mother. So how can he argue that my mother was barren and then I have come out as a son? So how can I can refute that? So this was the dilemma he was put. And the second was the king is pious. That means king is impious. That means he's committing all sorts of nonsense, like that. You have to prove that he's doing like that. And your mother is unchaste. All this he has to prove. So then finally he found out that he could not find an answer. He was completely baffled by these 3 questions. And then Yamunacharya gave the answer. That what is that? I will give the answer. And then finally accepted the defeat. So what is that? Mother is barren in the sense, in the Manusha Smriti, in those times, in the Manusmriti also it is said, if a woman is having only one child, she's considered barren. So that means the woman has to produce so many children. I mean, that was the custom at that time. And so that way he said that Manusmriti, and then he quoted that, and he said that your mother is barren because she has only one child. And the king is pious. Means king is impious. Yes, king is impious because king has to take, as per Manusmriti, 1/6 of the pious and impious deeds of all the citizens. He has to take responsibility. So in that way, if you look at it, he is impious because all the general population, citizens, are making so much of impious activity. They're committing so much of crimes, and all the papas are there. That you have to take 1/6. So this way you are proved that this king is impious. And the third one is the queen is unchaste. How to prove that? And he said that the king and the queen represents like a demigods. They are representative of the god. And then the queen is also the representative of the demigods. And then she happens to take the position to the demigods also as a wife of the demigods, because they're so much of empowered, in the sense that queen is having that quality. It does not mean that she gets married to the demigod or anything, but she's a representative of the demigods. So all the demigods like Agni, Vayu, Surya, Chandra, whoever is there, all of them are present in the body of the king. And if she's the wife of that king, that means she is wedded to more than one person. So this way she is unchaste. So like that, it was argument also was refuted. And moment he answered all these things, the whole assembly was bewildered, and the king and queen completely were astonished. And then they were very happy that this boy is so intelligent. He's given this argument, because all these on argument stage. It will not be true on a very moral or a very academic sense, but this is the way argument used to be done those days. And he won that. And then finally he was named as Alavandar. Alavandar means one who came to rule over. So that was Yamunacharya. And this Yamunacharya he professed, and then he professed that his disciple Ramanujacharya will be the one who will take over. And then there is also so many pastimes has happened. And one biggest thing is in this connection between the Guru and the Shishya. Yamunacharya, although they were in Tamil Nadu, they had not met. Ramanujacharya lived for about 20-30, maybe 20-30 years when he was in youth. This Yamunacharya left his body, but they never had a interaction. The spiritual connection was always there. Yamunacharya was always thinking of Ramanujacharya, because Ramanujacharya's prowess, his preaching skills, his bhakti, his devotion, everything, he used to get the information from the people. And then he was so happy that this boy is going to be that this youth is going to be my future protector of our Vaishnava Dharma. So like that, he was very happy. At the same time, Ramanujacharya also wanted to meet Yamunacharya, but circumstances made so much difficult that he could never meet him. Whenever he wanted to go and meet him and take an appointment, somehow it didn't happen. But the spiritual connection was always there. And that was established even the time Yamunacharya left his body. And Ramanujacharya, one of the disciples of Yamunacharya, I think Purna was there, Kanti Purna or something. So he was told, he was given the instruction that Yamunacharya is going to leave the body. He's sick, so you please have to come. So then they came to Srirangam and then picked Ramanujacharya and then went to meet the Guru to see his last days, almost his last moment. And then by the time they reached the place, Yamunacharya had already passed. He had already left the body. And they were totally shattered. Ramanujacharya was totally shattered. At least now I thought I will have a darshan of my this great saint, but I could not have. And he probably knew that his guru, his future guru, because always he was contemplating the Guru, and then he was thinking like that, but he could not meet. Then finally, he saw that as he bowed down, he saw that in the right hand, three fingers were folded. Three fingers were folded, and as he started, taking some vows, immediately the fingers were started also opening up. And what were the three vows? The first vow was that I'm going to glorify Vyasa Muni and Parashar Muni, because they were the one who gave us all the scriptures. So this glorification will be done by Ramanujacharya. The second one is that he's going to glorify the holy names and glorify the dhams. And the third one was that he will write Sri Bhashya. Sri Bhashya in terms of the Brahma Sutra, Vedanta Sutra, whatever was there, Vyasamuni had given. So for that, they had to write a Bhashya. Bhashya is the commentary. So that Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, they have this Bhashya or the commentary. This was given by Ramanujacharya, and also Bhagavad Gita commentaries. So all these things were given. So this way, when he was praying to Yamunacharya, these fingers, I mean, Yamunacharya could get that reception, although the body was lying dead, but then the spiritual connection was there, and that was indicated by the three fingers which moved. And finally, all people were completely who were there, they were completely, they were baffled, they were astonished the way this spiritual connection was there. And then by divine presence, this Diksha had happened ceremony, and he became the next future saint, and to develop this Sri Vaishnava philosophy. So that is that. So this is the kind of saintly people who are required. Now today, what we are seeing is everything is in the top to bottom. Shudras have now become politicians, and then the Brahmanas have become like Shudras. So this is what is happening there, and that's what Prabhupada is also telling. The saintly people have lost all their powers. They cannot do any real. In those days, if they had to do the fire sacrifice, they used to produce. They used to give an animal in sacrifice and then produce a man, a human body. So that was the power. If they have to fire Homa Kunda, then just by mantras they could bring Agnihotris. Agnihotris were so famous. Agnihotris just recited the mantras and bring. But today, all this is not possible. And most of the saintly people who are there are not doing actually spiritual practice, but they are actually getting engaged in social services, opening hospitals, schools, colleges, completely on the material platform. Prabhupada mentions it so many times. We have seen in so many purports that they're all not really doing the spiritual. There are very few organizations, very few, and then ISKCON is one of them, which we are totally into spiritual practices. Of course, we do some social services, but that is not our motive. Our motive is to spread the holy name, to spread the Yuga Dharma. So this way, Prabhupada's mission is growing, leaps and bounds, because it's purely of spiritual nature. Nothing, material contamination is practiced. So that is what is required in this world. Then only the leaders and the citizens, everyone will be in a happy formula. So under these circumstances, now saintly people have no power to influence in the age of Kali. Indeed, Brahmanas do not have the power to perform sacrifices in which animals are put into fire and attain a new life. Under these circumstances, instead of taking active politics, saintly people should engage in chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna. By the grace of Lord Chaitanya, by simply chanting Hare Krishna, general populace can be derive all the benefits without any political implications. So that is a very ideal utopian or a Satyuga platform which Prabhupada is expecting. I mean, Prabhupada had a very high expectation. Although we are in Kali Yuga, no problem. Just do this. Politicians, administrators, bureaucrats, Kshatriya, Vaishnava, whatever is your caste, whatever. In fact, Bhagavatam also says the same thing. Savai pumsa paro dharma, yato bhakti radokshaje, ahitika pritahda, yatma suprasidati. That's what Bhagavatam is telling, that irrespective of your dharma, your varnashrama, whatever it is, just all pumsas, all the people have to just do spiritual practice. But unfortunately, that is not taking place because of the Kali Yuga contaminations and again Kali Yuga's influences, the six urges, so many things. And of course, again, this is a ploy of the Lord, that he gives this kind of a situation, and he gives the tougher the situation, the options will be tougher, to come out of it. But if somebody comes out of that, answers the questions, the tough questions, he will be the winner. It's like, just like attempting the IIM and IIT exams. We know that millions and billions people write the exam, but how many people will pass? Very few people. So Krishna consciousness is also like that. Millions and millions we attempt, but then there is a chance that we can go back to Godhead. So because it's so difficult, practice is so difficult. But of course, with the grace of Guru and Parampara, it can also happen. Hare Krishna. So we go to the 13th shloka.
Hare Krishna. Suma Mataji, you read the shloka. Sridhar Prabhu's translation, and Meenakshi Mataji the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams. Thank you Mataji. Dandavat pranams Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Evam adhyavasayainam munayo gudha manyavaha upavrajya bruvan venam santva cha samabhihi. Hare Krishna. Thank you Mataji.
Translation.
Myself only Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Sridhar Prabhu. Sridhar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam Prabhu. The great
Hare
sages, having thus decided, approached King Vena, concealing their real anger. They pacified him with sweet words and then spoke as follows. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, no purport. So you can go to the 14th shloka.
Hare Krishna. Meenakshi Mataji, you can read the shloka. Shobha Mataji, the translation, and Anita Mataji, the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Shloka 14. Munayo uchuhu drupavarya nibodhaitat yate vijñāpayāmabho ayushe bala kirtanam tava tata vivardhanam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The great sages said, Dear King, we have come to give you good advice. Kindly hear us with great attention. By doing so, your duration of life and your opulence, strength, and reputation will increase. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. According to Vedic civilization, in a monarchy, the king is advised by saintly persons and sages. He can become the greatest executive power, and everyone in his kingdom will be happy, peaceful, and prosperous. The great kings were very responsible in taking instructions given by great saintly personalities. The kings used to accept the instructions given by great sages like Parashara, Vyasadeva, Narada, Devala, and Asita. In other words, they would first accept the authority of saintly persons and then execute their monarchical power. Unfortunately, in the present age of Kali, the head of government does not follow the instructions given by the saintly persons. Therefore, neither the citizens nor the men of the government are very happy. Their duration of life is shortened, and almost everyone is wretched and bereft of bodily strength and spiritual power. If citizens want to be happy and prosperous in this democratic age, they should not elect rascals and fools who have no respect for saintly persons. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So here, Prabhupada is mentioning Vedic civilization. The king was the monarch, and he was advised by the saintly persons and sages. So we see that most of the kings had their guru, Rajguru, and they were the ones who were guiding. So that way, it was very well protected. If a king is making a mistake, it was being corrected. If king is doing a good thing, then saints and sages also used to appreciate that, and then so that way, it's very good cohesion was there. But now today, it is not the case. The what we call the democracy politicians ruling is actually there is no spiritual essence at all. In fact, it is the whims and fancies of the politicians. Things or the governance is happening. The kings used to accept the instructions given by great sages Parashara, Vyasdev, Narada. So like this was the Vedic culture. Unfortunately, in this present age, this is not followed. So that's why we see our Gaur Gopal Prabhu, in the videos, in one of the jokes, spiritual jokes he gives, so that you choose your profession properly. That's what he says. So he starts saying that if suppose he was just addressing to the youth, if suppose you want to, what you want to become, okay, you want to do your degree, achieve some engineering or some master, something you do, and work in a company and earn some money. That's it. How much you can make money? Maybe about one in your lifetime, one few crores, 1 crore, 2 crore, because after all your household expenses, your investment, your home, your vehicle, so many things you can just make after getting children married. You can just end up with say 1 or 2 crores. But if you suppose you become a bureaucrat in a doing like a sub registrar or a very in a very administrative power, or like a DC collector or somebody like that, you can make maybe 10 crore, 20 crore, if you're a director of the land development authority, something like that. So you can mint money by, of course, illegal, whatever it is, you can make that much. But what if suppose a politician you become? If you become a politician, you can earn in crores, hundreds and thousands of crores, right? So, but is that enough? Now that, now we see that in today's situation, there are so many sannyasis and so many gurus doing charitable, philanthropic purpose and all that, and they are earning more than the politician, because the politicians also take shelter of this gurus and saintly people. And then we see that in today's world also, so many organizations, they are having crores and crores of money, much bigger than the politician. So he was making a fun that you please choose your career properly. Why you want to go to do study, do politics or become a bureaucrat instead of become a Swamiji? By being a Swamiji, you can earn more money. So like that, things are changing. But actually, they are also on the wrong path. Swamijis may be making millions and millions of money by hospitals, education, because today hospitals, educations are all money spinners. Everybody is in a commercial spree. Not the hospital, not the they want to give health. They actually take away the health because they want to see money. Education, actually, education has to be given free. But where is that? Donations, capitation fees, these that everybody is making huge money out of it. It has become a very impious activity. But unfortunately, that is the Kali Yuga tendency. So like that, we cannot get in this Kali Yuga the saintly people or saintly, unless that organization or the leaders who are there are taking to spiritual practice and they're actually following the Shastras. So that way, in ISKCON, we can see that how much of stress is given on the Shastras and the spiritual practices. So that is how it has grown. Prabhupada has given a solid foundation, and all his disciples have done tremendous work. And after Prabhupada's, so much of 50, 60 years of his departure, also still it is growing strong. And so this proves how authentic Bonaparte Sampradaya ISKCON is following. Hare Krishna. So we'll go to the next shloka, 15.
Hare Krishna. Barnali Mataji, you read the shloka. Shilpa Mataji translation and Padma Mataji the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat pranams.
Hare.
Dharma charita pumsam vanmanakaya buddhibhi lokan vishokan vitarati athanantayam asanginam. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Yeah,
those who live according to religious principles and who follow them by words, mind, body, and intelligence are elevated to the heavenly kingdom, which is devoid of all miseries. Being thus rid of the material influence, they achieve unlimited happiness in life. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Yes.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The saintly sages herein instruct that the king or head of the government should set an example by living a religious life. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, religion means worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should not simply make a show of religious life, but should perform devotional service perfectly with words, mind, body, and good intelligence. By doing so, not only will the king or government head rid himself of the contamination of the material modes of nature, but the general public will also, and they will all become gradually elevated to the kingdom of God and go back home, back to Godhead. The instructions given herein serve as a summary of how the head of government should execute his ruling power and thus attain happiness not only in this life but also in the life after death. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So here they are continuing, the sages are continuing, giving them the advice, good advice to Vena, that how he can, by being religious, by being God conscious, how he can revive this government, this governance. So like that, they are telling that if even by just following these religious principles, it will bring happiness, and people will be elevated to the heavenly kingdom, devoid of miseries. So like that, they are advising him. But the effect is that Vena is not perturbed. That is the thing. But one more point that we need to look at here is that they are advising it on a very materialistic platform. Fine. That is also required, because if Vena was so much impious and so much cruel and was not at all a devotee, so if he has to be brought, first he has to be brought step by step. He has to be brought to the karma kanda level first. Then you can take him to the next higher levels. So that is how they are telling him that with your mind, body, and words, you can be elevated by following religious principles. You can be elevated to the swarga. So they are still talking of the material world only. But of course, at that point of time, it was required. So they are telling. So it does not mean that we should also practice like this. So that's why Prabhupada is rectifying here, saying that saintly people are instructing to lead a religious life just as a basic step, as a first ladder, first step. And as a Varnashrama also, it is mentioned that karma kanda first, then once you overcome the karma kanda, then you can come to the jnana kanda or dhyana kanda, or directly to bhakti yoga. So like this. So one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should not make simply a show of religious, but actually perform devotional service perfectly. Bhakti, uttama bhakti. They have to do that. Not just again do bhakti for the sake of attaining heavenly planets, or enjoying the opulences in the Swargaloka and in Brahmaloka and all that. That is not what is required. Actually, what is required is to come out of this material existence itself. And here is glorifying how the king, at the head of the government, by being pious, he can actually take over the sins of the public also, and he can elevate the public also, people also, and take them back to Godhead. We have seen so many kings, Raja Rishis, it could be, they are all perform their activities in a spiritual way, although being in the material as a material responsibility as a kshatriya, as a king, but still they have taken. We have come across so many, Amrish Maharaj, and then like this Pandavas, all of them, they did very, very glorious spiritual practices. So these instructions are required. Only then they can they can get happiness, and they can go back to take not only themselves but also to the people back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. So we'll go to the 16th shloka.
Hare Krishna, Divya Mataji, read the shloka, Barnali Mataji translation, and I'll read the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Tate ma vinase dvira prajanam kshema lakshana yasmin vinaste nrupatil aishwaryat avarohati. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam Swamiji.
Hare.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The sages continued, O great hero, for this reason you should not be the cause of spoiling the spiritual life of the general populace. If their spiritual life is spoiled because of your activities, you will certainly fall down from your opulent and royal position. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Formerly, in practically all parts of the world, there were monarchies, but gradually as monarchy declined from the ideal life of religion to the godless life of sense gratification, monarchies all over the world were abolished. However, simply abolishing monarchy and replacing it with democracy is not sufficient unless the government are religious and follow in the footsteps of great religious personalities. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So even today we see that, especially with in India also, we are seeing how the politics has changed in the last 1 decade with the arrival of our Prime Minister. How much has changed? Because what he did first was he started, if the first thing he got elected, he went and met his mother, he bowed down to her, took her blessings. Then he showed all the qualities what a ruler has to have, religious devotion. That is the prime importance. You might be having so much of power, but power for what? For the upliftment of the people. You have to be so much selfless in your seva, working 18 hours, 20 hours. Now India has become a global leader. Every leader of the world is respecting the Prime Minister. Every leader is respecting Indians wherever we go. It was not the case earlier, because the previous rulers were all so much into corrupt practices, and nobody had a clue of administration. But whereas now we see this, and India's position has reached notches. It is now the 4th largest economy. All this is because, but he has again used his mind intelligence not only in economically enhancing, developing the infrastructure, economic independence. Not only that, even in terms of religious also, by opening the temples, the opening the dhams, purifying the dhams, the renovating the dhams, and making so many corridors. Every place you see, Ujjain was there, Ayodhya is there, and then Kashi, Varanasi, every place was cleaned up. And today, India has become, and the recent Kumbh Mela, we saw that crores and crores of people, including foreigners, they all came and then they participated. So this is the kind of religious activity required. Now, so that's why, as we see the previous shloka, they talked about the religious things, which is at the karmakanda level. But in this shloka, they are highlighting on the spiritual life, because they also know that just by being prosperous and materially happy is not going to serve your purpose. You have to come to the spiritual platform, the Atma platform, and then revive your Krishna consciousness. That is what is required. Otherwise, if you are again taking birth again in this material world, punaripi jananam, punaripi maranam, there is no use. You are just going to suffer. But actually what you have to get is a spiritual body and go to the spiritual world. So that is what now here they're telling, that it should be your spiritual life. If your spiritual life is spoiled, it will fall down for everyone. But if you are taking care of your spiritual life yourself, and uplifting, transforming yourself, then it will be good for the whole world. So that's what they're concluding here in this, the pleading to the Vena. Hare Krishna. So with this, I'll end today's session. If anyone has any clarifications, doubts or corrections, they can raise it.
Devotees, anybody has any question, please raise your hands. Prabhu, Hare Krishna, we don't have raised hands, so I guess we can.
Okay. Or any realizations, anything today, that also they can share to the to whatever is their self-realizations and some reflections, if anything is there.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Just close the
Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, today's slokas, when we relate to our material things, Prabhu, if we have some problems or anything, if we go to anybody, they say to do so many pujas, go to so far temples and all, so many things they say. But after coming and knowing this knowledge of Krishna consciousness, just sitting and chanting cleanses our past misdeeds, and also present and future also it opens the doors.
Yes,
so
yes.
it is very difficult to get that understanding, Prabhu, to get that realization. We want instant results and we follow. But when we go into Krishna conscious and getting Prabhupada's reading books of purports of Prabhupada, we become strong that let us chant Mahamantra, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So that is
Wonderful. That's a very nice realization. Mataji, you have completely understood the concept. I hope you are doing a wonderful job, and you please increase your sadhana, and then that's it. And ultimately, we have to get a guru, a bona fide guru. So you have to go to the Diksha platform, get the Diksha. Then only you are Dvija, you are twice born. What you are now, I don't know what is your status now, Mataji. Kesi, how much rounds you are chanting?
We were in Bahrain also, Prabhu. We know you also.
Haribol.
Long back, Prabhu.
Okay. I was there in Bahrain, no? 2002 to 20.
Yes, Prabhu. But we moved to Muscat, Prabhu. And then presently we are in Saudi, Prabhu. So
I see.
so that
now you are talking from Saudi? You are online
yes,
from Saudi?
we are in Saudi, Prabhu. Riyadh.
Okay. Oh, great. Yeah,
that's all. That's what my realization according to today's slokas, Prabhu. Maybe it is related to society, but in our daily life also.
Yeah, but what is your status now? How much rounds you are doing? What is your?
I'm doing 5 rounds, Prabhu, and reading Bhagavatam and attending classes.
Yeah. Good. If you are not working, if you are a homemaker or something, then you can increase your rounds.
Yes, Prabhu. I'm trying my best. Standard is 5, Prabhu. Standard is 5 rounds. Whenever I get time, I'm doing more.
Okay. And I think there your thing is called Sanatana Dham, no?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah,
Yes,
Maharaj, and Prabhu Vrindavan, what is his name?
Krishna.
He's there.
Krishna Das.
Yeah, Krishna Das is there. I think he's there in Riyadh.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, he used to come to our Bahrain also, Balram Desh, and quite a few. Yeah, they were there. We used to have a lot of interaction, and good. So, Mataji, then you have to increase your rounds and then come to the Diksha level.
With your blessings, Prabhu. Sure.
Are you taking any Prabhupada Ashraya, Guru Ashraya, anything?
Aspirant we took in Muscat, Prabhu.
Okay. Then the next is Guru Ashraya. For Guru Ashraya, you have to have 16 rounds and follow the 4 regulated. And I think Krishna will give you all the intelligence, and Guru Maharaj also will give you. Like I told you the story of Ramanujacharya and Acharya. So just unimaginable that is. So like that, Guru's mercy is also there. It's actually these are all achintya, invisible, inconceivable, but it will be there. You are just in association with all our devotees and sangha like this. That's a best fortune for you. Whatever you desire, it will happen.
Sure. Definitely. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sumangala Haribasaji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. First of all, I would like to seek your blessings, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. I got initiation, Prabhuji, on 31st of March.
With whom?
Holiness Patak Swami Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Who?
Holiness Jai Patak Swami Guru Maharaj. Prabhuji.
Okay. Haribol. Okay, good. Congratulations. So you become our God sister. Yeah. I know your this thing is there. I'm not able to see the screen. I think only few limited screens are shown here. Okay. Your name now, Mataji?
Sumangala Harisevini Devi Dasi
Oh,
Mataji.
okay. You are Suma Vinod, right?
Ma Manoj Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Suma Manoj before. Okay, okay. Oh, great, great. So you went to Madurai.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Yeah. So you have to now catch hold of Vasudha also, or Vasudha should catch hold of you, and tag her also,
Devotee,
and
I am
motivate her.
all by your mercy, all the
Hari,
teachers
Hari,
keep us
yeah,
guiding
Hari.
day
Yeah,
basis.
fantastic. Yeah, very nice. And where do you stay, Suma? Suma.
Then I say stay in Chennai, Prabhuji.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, very
So
nice. And you?
with regard to this, in what you taught in the class Satsanga, so
Yeah.
Guru Maharaj always says that we are supposed to preach whatever we have got. So we should bring in other people also to bhakti. So that is
Yes.
what they instruct. So while doing so, Prabhuji, how to associate with the non-devotees of the family, like not in our our relatives like uncles, aunts, and all that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we communicate with them, and we should not give up our completely our relationship. Also, it is not possible.
yeah.
So
That's
how
right.
bring them to Krishna consciousness, Prabhuji? Like because
Yeah.
giving association is also we're not so strong, so we will follow. So how can
Uh-huh.
we?
No, that's what actually it is a very, very tricky issue because associating with them, as I discussed that also in the class, the association is very important. And if you are with a relatives, friend, or materialistic people, you have to be very careful in staying, maintaining a distance, and as much as possible, your conduct or everything should be on the bhakti platform. You should also not get swayed away by their thing. At the same time, you should also try to inform them, give them some knowledge, give them some little preaching if they are willing to receive it. It's always good. We can talk about some philosophy, some tattvas, or some basic principles, Prabhupada, and some acharyas like that. So that way, slowly we have to give. But of course, we should maintain our practice very strict. If we slip in our practice, then it will be difficult. We'll get the bad influence. That should not be happening. It's a quite a tough task actually. It requires certain little practice. But the moment you find that you are getting some impulses, you should not just come out of that place. Don't stay there. Or somebody is trying to drag you, because it happens. They will force you to do this, to do that. Hey, what is the spiritual? They may condemn you. So many things they will tease you. Something they will happen. So in such a place, it's better that you avoid that place, or you just leave that place. And if you can, if you are in the tilak and wherever you go, take your chanting bag. That's it. Just by seeing that, no, your looks and your chanting bag, they'll calm down. They know that, oh, he's a devotee, we should not play around, something like that. They'll have that fear. But you have to be strict. At the same time, just little friendly, and don't spend too much time in their company. That's it. Just suppose they call you for a happy some birthday function, some program, some homa yagna. Okay, go attend, interact with them. You do your job, whatever it is, and then bless, honor, prasad if it is sattvic or as per our ISKCON standards. Otherwise, you just wish them and then come. At least you're making your feel them important. You have to make them feel important. Once they're felt important, then automatically they will follow you. So it's good that maintain some rapport, some relationship, and then keep it a very minimum thing. Only if you are able to spend more time, you can give a class, if they allow you lecture, some bhajans, kirtans, then you take that opportunity. Otherwise, yeah, you have to use that little intelligence, and then use the rope. The rope, how much you want to leave the rope, that much it should be able to, you should pull back also.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Okay,
Helpful.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Prabhuji. The most
Uh,
difficult thing is to bring your the relatives into Krishna consciousness.
yeah,
That's the most difficult.
yeah. Correct. I mean, we don't have to be bothered much about it, just
Yeah.
because they're not responding or they're not coming. Give it to give them some independence, some space. No problem. But you have to be strong in your practice. And so what you do is you can have some Damodar program, house program, something like that. You can invite them to your place. Then it will be more effective. Because your whole house will be surcharged with a lot of devotees and practices, then
Yes,
they will
yes,
get
Prabhuji.
influenced. Yeah, so that way we have to, maintain a constant touch with them. If they are lucky, they will also get converted. If they are unlucky, what we can do? We cannot do much.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
but
you,
pray
Prabhuji.
to Krishna and pray to Guru. Some of them will get
Yeah,
it.
that's all we can do, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you mentioned, I have heard, so I just wanted
yes,
to
Haribol,
know
Hare Krishna.
more about it, that in the Saudi, the UAE portion, the different small regions are called as Balram Desh and something else. Is it true, Prabhu?
Yeah. Our Guru Maharaj, Jagat Goswami Guru Maharaj, he gave these names long back.
Can
Like
you throw a
Bahrain is
little
called
light?
Balram Desh.
Bahrain is called Balram Desh, and then which are the other names?
Balram Desh. Muscat is called Mathura Desh.
Dubai
Dubai is called
is called
Damodar Desh.
Prabhuji.
Damodar
Yeah.
Desh.
Damodar
Oh my
Desh.
Sharjah
God.
is called Sham Desh.
And Sharjah
Yeah.
is called
Every
Gaurang
place
Desh.
he has given
Beautiful.
all our spiritual names is given, and we all practiced, or we are used to calling those names only. This is very unique of Jagat Goswami Maharaj. He has given this, and many other, most of the people in ISKCON also, other Swamijis also follow these names.
Haribol, Haribol.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Like Prabhupada, when he named you, it's inconceivable. Huh? If you tell to any local acharya, they will rebel. When he went to London, the first temple was inaugurated, and you know what he called that London deity? Huh?
Landeshwar
Landaneshwara.
Landaneshwara. Yeah. That
Landaneshwar,
it is,
yeah.
Prabhu,
And
which
Paris,
temple is that?
Radha Pariseshwara in London. In the heart of London, in the which is that place?
Watford is one temple.
The place is in heart of London. You have a temple. This is our
Soho
Radhakrishna temple.
temple,
ISKCON temple. That was the first temple
Soho.
which was inaugurated by Prabhupada. Soho, yeah, Soho Street.
I
And if
go
you see
to that
all
temple
around the Soho Street,
sometimes,
it's
Prabhu.
all pubs and bars and
Yes.
nightclubs, all those are there. But in between you have Radhakrishna there. And
It's
what is
a
his
high
name?
street
Radha
only.
Landaneshwar.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, it's something unimaginable.
Yes,
You have to
Prabhu.
give a Sanatic Vedic name, but he just defied all norms. And today still they're doing wonders. Thousands
Yes. Small, it
and
is like a
thousands and
center
lakhs
only,
of
but it is a
devotees are getting
beautiful
transformed.
temple.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Prabhuji. Thank
that's
you.
right.
Thank you. Can we end the
Hare
session
Krishna.
with prayers, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah. Okay. Vanchakalpadosha
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaः. Anantapurti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantharaja Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna to all devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
End the
Mataji.
session, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Pranams to all Matajis and Prabhu.
Yes.